Well, good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name's Richard Cruz, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Lieutenant Commander Peter Bartholomew's. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors and students on behalf of the following schools. From New South Wales, Christ the King Primary School, North Rocks, and Our Lady of Perpetual Succour from West Pymble. Could I ask you to please stand and join in singing the National Anthem? The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Thomas Drew. Thomas Drew was born on the 26th of May 1891 to William and Mary Drew of Port Melbourne, Victoria. Popularly known as Tootsie, Thomas grew up on Knott Street and attended school on the same road. He was a prominent member of the Railway United Cricket Club, both as a player and on its committee. He also served on the committee of the Port Melbourne Railway United Junior Football Club. He went on to work as a labourer. Drew enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force in July 1915, around the same time as one of his mates, William Jeffries. The two left Australia with reinforcements to the 21st Battalion on the 8th of February 1916. They continued their training overseas and joined the battalion on the Western Front together in early August. On the 15th of August 1916, Thomas Drew wrote to his mother saying, "In my last letter, I told you I was on my way to the trenches, and I got there after a great deal of travelling and joined my battalion, which had been in the trenches several days before I arrived. Then our hardest work commenced. For the first 2 days, I was on fatigue, carrying stores and rations to the front-line trenches. And this is very risky work, but I am thankful to say that I came out all right." He made sure to tell his mother, "I have been keeping in grand health all along, and at present could not feel better." On the 26th of August 1916, the 21st Battalion entered the front line near Mouquet Farm. Within hours of their arrival, part of the battalion attacked German positions near the farm. The operation was successful in capturing some of the German positions. However, on the right flank, the Australians seemed to go beyond their objective and then came under heavy fire from Mouquet Farm as they attempted to fall back. Among the casualties were Private Drew and Private Jeffries, both listed as missing. Private William Jeffries was later determined to be a prisoner of war. He remained in prisoner camps in Germany until a couple of weeks after the armistice in 1918. There was no word of Private Drew. Eventually, Mrs. Drew resorted to writing to General Birdwood to see if he could tell her anything about her son. He told her that a court of inquiry had determined that Drew had been killed in action on the 26th of August 1916. Birdwood added, "It would, I feel, be quite wrong of me to attempt to buoy you up with hope that your boy is a prisoner of war, for we have received official advice from Germany of the few that have been captured. I fear, therefore, there can be little doubt that your son was killed by the Germans." Private Drew's body was never recovered from the battlefield. He was 26 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among more than 60,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Thomas Drew, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.